Welcome to the Flashcast series by Full Spectrum Education.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 8. Today Lachie's going to be talking about failure. So take it away, Lachie.
Welcome back, team. I appreciate the continued support and tuning in to listen to these episodes. So as mentioned, today we will be talking about how failure provides specific feedback for you. One of the craziest things that I've experienced and used to act in, and I see people on a daily, hourly basis doing, is we take other people's word as gospel. We allow other people's experiences to determine some of the actions that we'll take next as well. And when we hear about failure, right, when we hear about things that go wrong, when we hear about people striving to change something in their life and it doesn't quite work out for you, or someone that you know, we then really generally use that as a feedback loop as to why we can't do the same thing. Now, here's the thing, and this is incredible to understand. You as an individual have a completely different skill set to that I do. You also have a completely different set of experiences, right, of beliefs, of values, of ways of seeing the world than I do. And because of that, it makes you unique. It makes you incredible. And I'm not saying that in a way that makes me not as unique or not as incredible. I'm saying we're all uniquely incredible in our own way. And as we look to learn and grow, and, going back to episode 2 where I was talking about 8 areas that all men must master, we all have had different exposure, understandings, and experiences with those areas, right? So for me, there was a point in my life where I didn't know how to improve my finances. And I just assumed I was never going to be able to make more than $20 an hour. That was a belief that I had. And I'd seen people in my life try to make it. I'd had some mates play and make some good money playing sport, but then, they ended up with nothing afterwards, or they spent it on gambling or all kinds of random things. And I then said, well, if I get money, I'll probably spend it the same way. But I always wanted it. Always. But I was never prepared to start taking those risks because I was worried about ending up with the same results as them. What if I failed like they did? Right? And if you can relate to that, probably catch yourself nodding your head right now. But here's the other thing. As I touched on at the very start of this, you're so unique and no one understands your mindset, right? Your mental resilience, your problem-solving abilities. No one understands that like you do. People may have an idea. People may tell you not to try things because they're worried that you'll fail. People may tell you to steer clear of things. People may tell you about their terrible experiences with things. And there's 2 ways you can respond to that. One, you can allow that to be the reason why you don't ever take any risks or why you don't ever try anything new. And you'll continue to get the same results. Nothing will really change, essentially. Or you can go, awesome feedback, thanks for sharing that, and find out a bit more about why specifically they may have failed or where they fell short. And then you can take that on board. So there's 2 ways you can learn, in my opinion. It's one from your own experiences, and 2 is from the experiences of other people, or reading books and all that sort of stuff. Okay, studies. And I think they're both important. But knowing what I know, the amount of people that have told me that if I fail in my life, if I do that, I'll fail. It's held me back for a long period of time. And eventually I got to the point where I was sick of that. Eventually I got to the point where I was like, well, you don't know how hard I'm prepared to work at this. You may have not been as prepared to work as hard as I am, but I'm going to absolutely crush this. I know I'll do whatever it takes to overcome this. When a challenge arises, I'm going to find a way around it or over it. So here's the cool thing. You will fail. And I think, obviously a lot of us are fearful of failure. I was fearful of failure because going through the schooling system, a lot of the time, how I was graded and how I interpreted if I got a C, I wasn't good enough. Rather than interpreting it in a way that because I got a C just meant I'm not understanding it. So do I need to find another way to understand it? Do I need to spend more time understanding it? Right? Rather, I would just go, right, I got a C in that, which means I'm just labeled myself as a failure and dumb. No. It's feedback for where you're currently at. And this is individual. Because I failed in science doesn't mean you're going to fail in science. Right? It's there to give me specific feedback for where I am as an individual. And when we take the approach that, feedback provides specific feedback for you and it's an opportunity to grow, right? You can then use that to go, okay, well, if I got a C in science, what specifically do I need to improve on to get that to a C plus or a B? Right? And we got to start asking ourselves questions. And as I spoke about in 2 episodes ago, right, the importance of staying strong, we've all got a threshold. All of us. So where you max out in something and where you reach that threshold and you quote unquote fail, or not even quote unquote, those rabbity things, where you fail, you've just now reached your threshold, which means there is an opportunity to learn a different way or a different understanding to overcome that next time. There's going to be specific feedback for the effort that you have put in on how you can crush that next time. And I think it's the most exciting thing, and I fail on a daily basis. Some failures feel hugely significant and massive, and that they take their toll on me emotionally. Others are like water off a duck's back. Don't even really notice them, but I take the learnings. So the cool thing as well, guys, is whatever age you're at right now. So I'm 29 at the time of recording this. I have 29 years worth of mistakes and failures that I can reflect upon, that I can already use as ways to improve my life, ways to improve how I understand and think, perceive challenges. Up until I was probably 26, I never once did that. I just put my head in the sand and tried to get away from every failure as quickly as possible. So I kept repeating the failure time and time again. However, now that I choose to look back and embrace them and try to understand them and see how I could have done things differently or where I could have improved things, I don't make the same mistake twice very often. And every time I do that, I'm raising my standards, I'm raising my threshold. And we all have the ability to do that. Okay, so keep in mind for the future, when there's an opportunity to fail, get excited by it, right? Because you're going to get some very, very helpful feedback. And I think about the compound effect. If you learn that now, imagine where you're going to be by the time, for me, I'm 29. If I learned this now, imagine where I'll be at 40. I think about if I'd learned a lot of the lessons that I learned later in life, earlier, imagine where I would have been and the results that I would have created for myself. It's exciting. So thank you guys for tuning in again. Next episode, we will be talking about why you need to reach out to your mates weekly, right? Some people even more regularly.
Thanks for listening to today's Flashcast. If you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to email into us at info@fsedu.com.au, and be sure to tune into our social channels so you don't miss the next episode. Thanks, see you next time.